Take a deep breath. And imagine this, a quiet evening in a small American town. Streets washed in the soft glow of sunset. Families returning home. Distant laughter of kids riding bicycles, the world slowing down just enough for you to notice the gentle heartbeat of life. And somewhere in the middle of all this, a man walks alone. Not because he has no one, but because he's forgotten what it feels like to be seen, to be acknowledged, to be respected, simply as a human being. His name is Daniel Carter, a 42-year-old factory worker, a father, a husband, a man who used to believe that kindness was the strongest thing a person could give. But life has a way of testing the softest hearts the hardest. For years, he woke up at 4:30 every morning, tied his boots, stepped out into the cold and worked. 12-hour shifts with almost no one noticing him. People passed by him every day, at work, at stores, even in his own neighborhood, without ever really seeing him. He wasn't invisible because he wanted to be. He was invisible because the world had stopped valuing the simple dignity of being human. Until one day, everything changed. It was a Wednesday, nothing special about it. The sky looked the same, the traffic lights blinked in the same rhythm, people hurried the same way, but for Daniel, that ordinary morning was about to become the moment that reminded him, and eventually, thousands of others, what respect truly means. He was driving to work when he saw an elderly woman standing by the side of the road, shivering in the cold. Her car's hood open, steam escaping into the air. Cars kept passing her, dozens of them. Some slowed down just to stare. No one stopped. And Daniel? He wasn't rich. He wasn't someone with extra time or extra comfort. He wasn't the kind of man who had the world in the palm of his hand. But he had one thing, a heart that refused to ignore suffering. He parked his truck and walked toward her. "Ma'am, are you all right?" he asked gently. The woman looked at him with teary eyes, the kind of eyes that hold more stories than words ever could. "My husband used to fix everything," she whispered, "but he passed away last year. I don't know what to do." She wasn't talking about the car. She was talking about life. Daniel didn't say much. He didn't preach kindness or talk about generosity. He simply rolled up his sleeves and started working on her car. His hands were cold, his jacket soaked with freezing wind, but he stayed. 20 minutes later, the car engine roared back to life. She stared at him. Not like he was a mechanic, not like he was a stranger, but like he was the first human being in a long time who treated her with dignity. She asked him how much she owed him. He smiled. "You don't owe me anything, ma'am. Just promise me you'll get home safe." She held his hands, her old fingers trembling. "People don't stop anymore," she said. "People don't care. But you brought my husband's kindness back for a moment." Daniel nodded quietly and walked back to his truck, but something inside him felt heavier because he knew she wasn't wrong. The world had changed. Respect had become rare. Humanity had become optional. He drove off, thinking this moment would end here, but the universe had other plans. 2 days later, Daniel's boss called him into the office. Daniel stood there confused, wondering if he had done something wrong. But then the boss turned his screen around. A video was playing, a cell phone recording. The elderly woman had filmed part of what happened. Not intentionally, but because she often recorded messages for her late husband, just so she felt like she was talking to someone. And unknowingly, she captured Daniel helping her. She posted the clip with a short message. "If the world still has people like him, maybe I'm not as alone as I thought." The video had gone viral, millions of views, thousands of comments. Some said, "Humanity still exists." Others wrote, "This man restored my faith in people." And many asked, "Who is he? We need more people like him." Daniel stood there speechless. He wasn't the type who craved attention. In fact, attention made him uncomfortable. But something in that moment lit a spark inside him. A realization that people were starving for examples of respect, not just stories of success. That evening, when he reached home, his daughter Emily ran to him holding her phone. "Dad, you're everywhere. My school friends saw the video. They said you're a hero." Hero? It didn't feel real to him. He wasn't a firefighter or a soldier or a celebrity. He was just a man who refused to walk past someone's pain. But in that moment, he understood something. Sometimes, being human is the greatest form of heroism. Days passed. And Daniel tried going back to his normal routine. Same boots, same factory, same long hours, but everything felt different because now people saw him, really saw him. Coworkers who had never spoken to him before suddenly greeted him. Strangers thanked him for reminding the world to care. Even his boss treated him with a respect Daniel had never felt. But life wasn't finished teaching him. One evening he stopped by a local diner, a small place he visited often, the kind where the waitress knows your usual order. He sat quietly, scrolling through messages from people around the world, thanking him for inspiring them. That's when he noticed a young teenage boy sitting alone, head down, body tense. The boy looked lost, not physically, but emotionally. Daniel saw something in him, something he recognized from his own past, a quiet pain, a silent fight. A few minutes later, the boy dropped his wallet while standing up to leave. Daniel picked it up and called out to him, "Hey kid, you dropped this." The boy froze. Slowly, he turned around. His eyes were red, not from allergies, from crying. "Thanks," he whispered. "You okay?" Daniel asked softly. The boy hesitated. No one had asked him that in a long time. I got into a fight at school, he said. "They keep making fun of me. They say I'm worthless. They say I don't matter." Daniel felt a familiar ache in his chest because he had once been that boy too. "What's your name?" he asked. "Evan." Daniel nodded. "Listen, Evan, people who insult others are usually fighting battles of their own. Your value doesn't come from their words. It comes from who you are, even when no one is watching." Evan looked up for the first time. "But what if no one ever respects me?" Daniel took a deep breath. "Respect starts here," he said, gently tapping the boy's chest. "When you learn to respect yourself, your heart, your effort, your honesty, people will follow. And those who don't, they were never meant to walk your journey anyway." Evan swallowed hard, fighting tears. For the first time in months, someone had spoken to him like he mattered. He whispered, "Thank you." And Daniel smiled because he knew what that thank you really meant. "You reminded me I'm human." Over the next few months, something remarkable happened. People began sharing their own stories of kindness. Strangers helped each other. Schools talked about respect. Communities created small volunteer groups. And all of it traced back to one moment, one ordinary man who stopped for one elderly woman. Daniel realized something profound. Respect isn't a skill. It isn't a currency. It isn't a reward. Respect is a choice. A choice to treat others with dignity, even when the world rushes by. A choice to see people, not as strangers, but as fellow humans. A choice to lift someone up, because you never know how close they are to falling apart. One night, as Daniel stood on his porch watching the quiet town, his wife came beside him. "You know," she said softly, "you changed more lives than you'll ever know." Daniel looked at the sky, the stars flickering like tiny reminders of hope. "I didn't change anything," he whispered. "I just did what everyone should do." His wife smiled. "Maybe that's exactly what makes it so powerful. Because real respect isn't loud. It isn't dramatic. It isn't viral. Real respect is silent, simple, human, and sometimes it takes just one person to remind the world of it. Days turned into months. Seasons changed. The factory kept running. Life moved forward. But Daniel's story didn't end. It evolved. He started a small initiative. Nothing big, nothing fancy, a simple weekly meetup at the community center. Anyone could join. Teenagers, adults, seniors, people who felt unseen, unheard, unvalued, people searching for humanity in a world that often forgets it. They talked, they shared, they healed. And every week, Daniel reminded them, "You matter. Your story matters. Your existence matters." His message spread far beyond the town. Schools invited him. Community leaders asked him to speak. But he never branded himself as a motivational speaker. He wasn't trying to build a career. He was trying to build a ripple. One act of respect inspires another, which inspires another, until it becomes a wave that reaches someone who desperately needs it. Somewhere in a huge city, somewhere in a quiet suburb, somewhere in a lonely home, somewhere in a breaking heart. And that is how humanity survives. Not through grand gestures, not through fame, not through perfection, but through everyday moments of simple, quiet, unwavering respect. So if you're listening to this right now, remember something: you don't know who you'll save by being kind today. You don't know who will sleep easier because you showed compassion. You don't know whose life might change because you decided to see them, truly see them. Maybe the world doesn't need more power. Maybe it needs more peace. Maybe it needs more listening, more understanding, more hearts that don't walk away. Maybe the world just needs more people like you. Because respect isn't about age. It isn't about status. It isn't about perfection. Respect is about humanity. And humanity starts with one simple truth: we are all the same heart in different bodies. We hurt. We hope. We fall. We rise. And sometimes all it takes is one moment, one gesture, one person to remind us that we are not alone. So today, no matter where you are in the world, choose respect, choose empathy, choose humanity. Because one day, when someone asks, does kindness still exist? Your story, your action, your heart might just be the answer.